Good morning, Corpus Christi, Coastal Bend, and listeners worldwide. Welcome on in to another edition of the Sunday Sports Rush right here on News Talk KEYS 1440 AM and 98.7 FM. I'm your host, James Espinosa, joined by producer and co-host Aiden Ducker.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
What's going on? It is episode number 96, and we are glad you are with us this morning. Now, full disclosure here, because I usually toss out the text line and I usually try and get the listeners interactive with the show, which you guys do a fantastic job each and every week of doing that. We are pre-recorded because I have to attend a wedding this weekend. I'll be in Rockport, and yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it to a live show, so we had to pre-record this weekend. So if you're noticing, hey man, I'm sending in text messages, James ain't reading them. What the hell? Does James hate me? No, I do not hate you. I appreciate you and I love you. It's just I'm not in studio right now. I'm probably laid up in a bed in Rockport, hungover to God knows what, because guess what? At weddings, it's usually an excuse to drink a little bit and have some fun and dance and do all that good stuff. Actually, later on in the show, I have my top 5 list of the best parts about weddings. So you're not going to want to miss that. I compiled a top 5 list of what is great about weddings. And then I also have a little bit of a rant on why weddings in the fall are absolutely atrocious. So I'll get to that and more later. We're going to talk some Cowboys a little bit later on in the show. We got some Astros news and notes from there. Crazy offseason. Jim Crane was featured in an article by Brian McTaggart, and then Jeff Passan of ESPN also had some interesting behind-the-scenes notes on Jim Crane and how he is becoming George Steinbrenner-like, which Aiden has said many times that Jim Crane is the new Steinbrenner. Well, could he possibly be the new Steinbrenner? Jeff Passan in his article had some things to say about that, so we'll dive into that a little bit later on in the show. It's episode number 96. We are on the countdown to 100, so let's go ahead and let's dive into segment number 1 in this different type of show that we're doing today. Segment number 1, I wanted to touch on a little bit of the World Cup, because the World Cup actually starts today. Yes, Sunday. As soon as the show ends at 11 a.m., the opening matchup will take place between Qatar and Ecuador. And that's going to be going down. That's going to kick off everything for the World Cup. The World Cup will be on Fox, so you can catch all the matches on Fox, FS1, FS2, Telemundo, or NBC Universo, if you need to find out where to watch these games. Now, the World Cup kicking off, it's the 2022 edition. And what's special about this World Cup, number 1, it's the first World Cup to be hosted in an Arabic nation. All right, so Qatar is the first Arabic nation to ever host a World Cup. Now, there are controversies behind why Qatar is hosting the World Cup. Let's just put it this way. FIFA is corrupt as hell. Yeah. And they've been corrupt. And I actually just saw a Netflix documentary called FIFA Uncovered, which dived deep into how FIFA pretty much is organized like a gang, like an organized crime syndicate. You got FIFA executives taking bribes. You got FIFA executives laundering money left and right. And this all came to a head a few years ago whenever they ended up ousting Sepp Blatter, who was the former FIFA president. And a lot of corruption was happening. And put it this way, Qatar paid for this World Cup.
They bought votes.
They bought votes. Yes, you're right, Aiden. They bought votes. And the front runner to get the 2022 World Cup at the time that they voted back in 2011, 2012, was the United States.
And I believe Russia, when they got theirs, they did the same thing as well.
Yes.
And that was supposed to be Canada's. Therefore, that's why there's the next World Cup's going to be the Canada, U.S., Mexico joint.
Yeah, the North American World Cup, which will be happening in 2026.
To kind of like, make up for it, I guess. But
yeah, kind of make up for it. Kind of, hey, we did y'all guys wrong in the last 2 hosting votes, and we're going to make it up to you in one big old swoop here. And all 3 nations will be hosting the North American World Cup, which Houston and Dallas will be host cities. And there are rumors that Dallas will eventually host the FIFA World Cup final. That has yet to be officially announced, but it is rumored that will be announced here rather soon. So this 2022 World Cup in Qatar, this past week has been nothing but insanity in terms of how the media is already being treated in Qatar. There's multiple videos out already on how Qatari officials are threatening media types all around Qatar, saying you can't film here. There's one video that popped up from a Danish news network where a Qatari official was threatening to break the camera despite the reporter and cameraman showing their credentials. It is an absolute S show in Qatar. And if you've seen the living conditions where they're planning on putting fans in these quote-unquote hotels, I mean, these things look like hostels in broken down Balkan Europe. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. They got these fans trying to stay in tents, Aiden. It looks like Firefest all over again, but hopefully the games kick off with, some semblance of normalcy. So, looking at the World Cup here, right? The United States, of course, those are our guys. They're back in the World Cup. They missed the 2018 World Cup. They failed to qualify. But this particular United States team comes in here very, very young. They are actually the youngest team on average in the World Cup with an average age of 26 years old. So this team is led by Greg Berhalter, former United States men's national team player, former Major League Soccer manager. He's leading the squad. And some of the household names that are on this team, Christian Pulisic is one of them. He's probably our main guy. You got Weston McKennie. You got Gio Reyna, Tim Weah, Braden Anderson. Those are just some dudes that you should probably look out for. Antoine Robinson as well, and Serginho Dest. All those guys are great. And what's going to make the United States a dangerous team when it comes to the World Cup and their chances of advancing to the knockout rounds is the fact that they play high tempo. They're a vertical type of team. Their transition game is key. They love to hit you on the counterattack, transition, get it into the box, and rely on that midfield and those strikers. So United States comes in, I would say, in this group. So United States is in Group B. They're in the group with England, Wales, and Iran. And the first United States match will actually take place on Monday, November the 21st at 1 p.m. when they face off against Wales. Now, it's crucial that the United States gets at least a draw against Wales because match number 2 is against England. And yeah, there's that historical rivalry with England, United States. That's going to be hyped up to no end. And that game's happening on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So all eyes will be watching as the majority of Americans will be on holiday break. But it is imperative that the United States gets at least 1 point out of Wales. They'll probably lose to England. I'm already chalking that up as a loss. And then it'll probably come down to the last game against Iran, where they would have to win to probably make it to the knockout rounds.
I mean, the U.S. is used to beating Iran in other aspects of the world. I mean, why couldn't this be any different?
Yeah, we're used to kind of knocking off Iran a little bit here and there.
Am I proud of it? No, but I mean, it is what it is. I'll be proud if U.S. beats Iran, though.
So the United States' prospects of advancing past the group stage, I'd say they're pretty good. I think the United States should pass the group stage. They're probably second behind England in that group, with Wales third and Iran fourth. So that's why that matchup with Wales in the first game for the United States on Monday is critical. You cannot lose to Wales. You have to at least draw or win.
He's still on, yeah. So
and Gareth Bale, Gareth Bale,
my bad. Yeah.
who has had his run in the English Premier League. Now he's with Los Angeles FC in the MLS. They just won MLS Cup.
Yeah, another Philadelphia major sports loss.
Exactly, and Gareth Bale did have the game tying goal, which sent it into penalty kicks. Gareth Bale is the type of star that can literally win a match on the single strike of his leg. And one of the weaknesses for the United States is their defense. Young defense in the middle. So that's going to be key. Stopping Gareth Bale and trying to counterattack Wales, who will play a tough defense. Wales does not have the depth the United States has. but they got a little bit more experience with guys who have played in top leagues around the world. United States is very young. Very, very young. So there we go. Just a quick little United States preview. I think United States gets out of the group. I think they get second place to England. I predict that the United States will get 4 points. They'll get a draw against Wales, a loss against England, and a win against Iran. That'll be good enough for 4 points, and that will get them to the knockout rounds, where they most likely will face the Netherlands in the knockout stage, first round.
The Dutch.
Yeah, the Dutch.
You never know which Dutch team you're going to get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to get Dutched by the Dutch. But that's it. That's kind of like our little World Cup preview. I will make a prediction here. I think Brazil wins the World Cup. Brazil is deep, dude. Like, the best Brazil team you've ever seen. They're coming in with a lot of hype. Who do you think wins the World Cup?
I think Belgium's going to finally put it together.
Ooh, Belgium.
Yeah, I'm liking them.
Okay. Argentina is also one of the heavy favorites because it's Messi's last World Cup run. A lot of people want to see Messi finally not choke on the biggest stage.
I feel like Argentina's being overrated just because of the
Messi factor
of that hype, and Messi's not even like the Messi he used to be.
No, but a lot of people want Messi to finally not choke on the biggest stage. France, of course, will be a big problem with Mbappe and company, and Antoine Griezmann
and Benzema.
And Karim Benzema. Wow, the French. But all right, there we go.
So Mrs. Pepper. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I want to score the goal. I am French. Oh wait, that wasn't French.
That was bad. Anyway,
that's our World Cup preview. So let's go, USA. Let's do it. Let's get out of the group stage. Come on, baby. USA, USA, USA. That's going to wrap up our World Cup segment. Coming up next, we'll talk some Astros. We'll dive into the latest going on in Major League Baseball free agency. Keep it locked. It's the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush. It's James Espinosa. It's Aiden Ducker. It's Marcos Madokin. Marcos has joined us. He had to take care of some work in the studio.
Yeah, I had some stuff to do around the station, but I'm here. I'm back.
Yeah, that's right. Marcos is here. It's episode number 96. We thank you guys for being with us on this glorious Sunday morning. It is Cowboys game day. Cowboys will be playing the Vikings at 3:30 today. Cowboys coming off their loss against the Packers, a horrible loss against the Packers. We'll talk Cowboys and Packers coming up in 10 minutes. We'll kind of recap that game. And then later on in the second hour, we'll preview Cowboys versus Vikings. 3:30 today on Keys. 2:30 kickoff, or excuse me, 2:30 pregame, 3:30 kickoff right here on Keys. Alrighty, it's episode 96. Countdown to 100 is on. Let's go ahead and let's talk some Major League Baseball because there are some happenings in Major League Baseball. Let's go ahead and dive into that. So, the Mariners have some news this week. Julio Rodriguez, am I correct on that name?
Yes.
yes.
He took home the American League Rookie of the Year. So he is the Rookie of the Year in the American League. And I'm actually a little bit surprised at this because Jeremy Pena, Astros shortstop, World Series MVP, ALCS MVP, he only had 2 votes. That's it. Only 2 people voted for Jeremy Pena. 148 people voted for Julio Rodriguez. And I get it. Julio Rodriguez had a better regular season than Jeremy Pena. That's fine. Julio Rodriguez is a fantastic player. I got no qualms with Julio Rodriguez winning the American League Rookie of the Year. Baltimore Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman finished second. Cleveland Guardians shortstop, I believe, Stephen Kwan, finished third. Bobby Witt Jr. of the Royals shortstop stud, finished fourth. And then Pena finished fifth with only 2 votes. But I guess if you're Jeremy Pena, fellas,
I'd rather win the ALCS MVP and the World Series MVP, and he had a Gold Glove as well.
I don't think he's too worried about this.
For all the Astros fans out there getting ready to throw hands with the Baseball Writers Association, just remember it's a regular season award, and Julio Rodriguez did have an amazing regular season, and is well deserved.
Yeah, in the regular season, Julio Rodriguez was better. And I know Jeremy Pena, he kind of slumped the second half of the year with his batting average. He was the 247. But I thought his defensive play would make up for at least get him into the top 3.
Yeah, so a little bit surprising that he only had 2 total votes out of the hundreds that voted, but that's just kind of how it shook out. But I'm pretty sure Jeremy Pena is not crying this morning over it.
I mean, it's a regular season award. I mean, look, they gave the Yankees the Gold Glove team award or whatever you call it.
I didn't even know they had a team award for the Gold Glove.
I think it's new, but
and
the Yankees did not.
Look at all the errors the Yankees had against the Astros.
Since we're on the topic of the Yankees, Jose Trevino, who is Corpus Christi's own, took home the Gold Glove for catcher in the American League. So I think that's pretty well deserved.
And he won the Platinum Glove Award, which is the top overall.
I didn't even know there was a Platinum Glove Award. Did they just start making this up?
They've had that for a while.
Am I oblivious?
I don't know what the difference is, and I've been following baseball forever. I don't think anyone really knows what the difference is. But Jose, definitely, it's well-deserved. I mean, he came from the Rangers system where they just farm out amazing defensive catchers.
Yeah.
Shout out Bobby Wilson over there. But it's well-deserved, and it's good to see a Corpus boy having so much success on the national stage.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
Well said, Marcos.
Gotta get him on the show.
We got, you know what? I've shot my shot in the DMs, and I don't know.
Maybe he knows we're diehard Astros fans.
He might.
He is a Yankee. He's actually a Yankees fan himself before he even became one.
Someone probably tipped him off that we crap on the Yankees, and you know what? It's probably our own fault. We can't fault nobody but ourselves.
You know what? The Yankees have a lot of good players, including Jose Trevino. We respect Judge. Rizzo just got re-signed.
Yes.
That's another note.
And that was another note I was going to get to, because earlier in the week, there were rumors that the Astros were targeting Anthony Rizzo, first baseman.
Speaking of, Rizzo declined the Yankees qualifying offer.
He did, but he just re-signed with them.
Oh, he declined qualifying, but he re-signed.
Yeah, they signed him.
Do your research, Marcos.
They signed him to a multi-year deal worth up to $51 million. He's going to make $34 million over the next 2 seasons, plus a club option for 2025 that includes a $6 million buyout. In total, $40 million guaranteed to Anthony Rizzo. So those dreams of the Astros possibly signing Rizzo were very short-lived.
You know why he resigned? It's because he loves being a Yankee.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. He loves being a Yankee.
He loves that short.
I was about to say the short porch. I'm sure he loves that.
Well,
remember the Astros is slightly more backwards than the
Astros have kind of a short porch too.
But remember the Aaron Judge fly
hit a
out.
Home run out of there.
Yeah.
Remember the Aaron Judge fly out in Game 2?
Yes.
That would have only been a homer in Yankee Stadium.
That's crazy right there. Another news note here from Major League Baseball: the Mariners. This involves the Mariners once again. They actually made a trade trade with the Toronto Blue Jays for all-star outfielder Teoscar Hernandez. Hernandez is going to join Seattle. He'll be in the outfield with Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal right there. The Mariners, they know it's an arms race to try and keep up with the Astros in the AL West and in the AL in general. So they brought in Teoscar Hernandez. That's pretty cool.
And think about it, they might be
for them.
They're probably going to be a perennial playoff foe, assuming the Astros win the division every year, and the Mariners get the wild card, and they're that 4th seed again.
I'm expecting the Mariners to be, like you said, Aiden, the Astros, the thorn in the Astros side in the AL West for the next few years.
And any one of those 3 games could have gone the Mariners' way.
Yeah,
and we wouldn't even talk about a World Series.
Yeah, and you know what, man? Even, Philly series, right, in the World Series with the Astros, I would venture to say that the Mariners gave the Astros a tougher challenge.
I mean, the Phillies did win games.
They were whenever their bats were hot, they were hot, and that was the only reason why they even made the World Series.
And then Game 5 could have gone either way with the Astros.
That's true. Maybe I'm discrediting the Phillies too much.
We all know they both gave a tougher challenge.
Yeah.
I don't think Teoscar Hernandez is going to be the savior of the Mariners. He has like almost a 30% strikeout rate.
Yes.
Well, he strikes out a ton, but he's one of those guys where his bat, when he's hot, he's popping home runs. He's hitting, power shots to the gaps. He's a quality player, no matter what. Strikes out a little bit too much, but yeah, I think the Mariners will live with that. Another news note that happened in Major League Baseball that occurred earlier this week. Your Texas Rangers actually are bringing back Martin Perez.
Yeah, he had a
pitcher.
dominant year. He was the front runner for a little bit for the Cy Young in the American League.
Yeah,
he was dominant for a lot of the year. He's an amazing pitcher, and it was great to have him back in Texas and having a bounce back.
You know what? Let's do a little bit of Rangers talk since we have Marcos here. Marcos, you're a Rangers fan. What do you want the Rangers to do? Because the Rangers, to me, okay, they bring in Bruce Bochy. You still, you got Seager, you got Simeon, you got a lot of young pieces in that team. What is the Rangers, what are they looking for in the offseason to where they could get themselves into at least wild card contention? Because they got the pieces. I feel like they're just missing some starting pitching.
Well, and they found the manager.
Yeah, they found the manager.
Woodward was a crap manager. Y'all got rid of him.
Yeah.
That was a good move.
So what are you looking for in terms of the Rangers?
Well, so far this offseason, we've seen a lot of them trading prospects for cash. So it looks like they're trying to get DeGrom. There's been a lot of speculation out there that he wants to come to Texas, whether that be the Rangers or the Astros. And then they just signed the bench coach, Will Venable, from the Red Sox. That's a big ad. People forget how valuable those assistant coaches are to teams. Those are the assistant coaches are oftentimes that break slumps. They're in there with the players. They're in there before the games, after the games, in the tunnel, making the adjustments that are needed to stop the slumps at the stem, to get guys, make those small adjustments. So I like what they're doing so far. They've made a lot of good things. Ronald Acuna Jr.'s brother is actually just got protected for the to the 40-man roster. So
is he supposed to be pretty good? I imagine he's Ronald Acuna Jr.'s brother.
He's an athlete. I think they're still trying to develop him a little bit.
What are they looking to play him?
Well, they just they added him to the 40-man roster to protect him from the Rule 5 draft that they're going on.
What position does he play?
He's an infielder.
Okay, interesting. So, and you mentioned the bench coaches. And me and Aiden know, especially being Astros fans, how important those bench coaches are, like Joe Espada, like first base coach Omar Lopez,
Gary Pettis,
and the pitching coach Brad Miller. Am I wrong about that, or am I right about that?
I think so.
Anyways, they're important.
I will say I think the Rangers are going to finish at least third in the division. Yeah, but I know the Angels signed Tyler Anderson. They're still the Angels.
I think depending on how this free agency ends out, sorry to cut you off there, Aiden, but okay. I think depending on how this free agency runs out, I think that they could end up giving the top of the division guys like the Astros and the Mariners a run for their money.
I would agree with that. So there we go. Just a little bit of Major League Baseball talk. Another quick note, because I know we're about to end the segment. Bryce Harper is set for elbow surgery. The timeline for him to come back is very unclear. Of course, Bryce Harper hurt his elbow in the regular season, didn't play the field throughout the regular season when he was active and during the playoffs. He was just a DH for the Philadelphia Phillies. So there we go. That's going to wrap up our Major League Baseball segment. When we come back, we're going to recap Cowboys and Packers, the crazy game that happened in Lambeau Field last week, and how the Cowboys choked away a 14-point lead. Keep it locked. You're listening to the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush, episode number 96. It's James Espinosa, Aiden Ducker, and Marcos Madakeen with you this Sunday morning. Cowboys game day, 3:30 kickoff right here on Keys, 2:30 pregame on Keys as well. It's Cowboys and Vikings. Cowboys looking to not snap a losing streak, but looking to bounce back from a loss last week to the Green Bay Packers, where they fell 31-28. And this game drove me absolutely bonkers watching it. I mean, y'all heard last week how I ranted about the Texas Longhorns losing to TCU. That game drove me insane, but this one drove me, I would say, 10 times more insane because the Cowboys had every opportunity to win this damn game. They were up 28-14 in the fourth quarter, and they lose 31-28 in overtime. And, you know, just some notes from the game. They gave up 31 to the Packers, and this is supposed to be one of the best defenses in the NFL that the Cowboys possess.
Blue donkeys.
Yeah, they played like some damn donkeys. The Packers were 29th in points out of 32 NFL teams entering that game. They gave up 31 to the Packers. The Packers were on a 5-game losing streak. The Cowboys couldn't close the deal. It was 28-14 in the fourth quarter, one of the key moments of the game. 28-14 fourth quarter. It was 4th and 7. Packers with the ball. 4th and 7. They're down 14. Aaron Rodgers throws a touchdown pass to Christian Watson. And it pretty much was all downhill from there. That happened with 13 minutes and 31 seconds left in the ball game. The defense couldn't shut the door on the Packers at all. At all. When you needed a defensive stop late in the game, they couldn't do it. And I think we saw, or majority of fans saw, guys, that this team cannot stop the rush.
And I'm noticing also, too, in terms of like the pass defense as well, is that you saw Aaron Rodgers targeting Anthony Brown, Deron Bland, guys like that, and you're starting to feel the Jordan Lewis loss the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and you know what's also a potential big loss? And I know Anthony Brown got burned on that one deep route touchdown to Christian Watson, but Anthony Brown left that game with a concussion. He might not play. It might be Kelvin Joseph who's going to be the starting cornerback opposite of Trayvon Diggs. Now, what the Packers did was very, very wise because all game long, they only targeted Trayvon Diggs 2 times. They hardly ever threw to Trayvon Diggs' side. Smart on them because they attacked the weaknesses like Aiden mentioned. They attacked Anthony Brown. They attacked Deron Bland. When Kelvin Joseph was in there, they attacked him also. The Cowboys are very, very thin at cornerback right now. And they attack them. And now the recipe's out there, fellas, on what to do against the Cowboys. We saw it at the beginning of the game. The Packers started the game with 7 consecutive runs, and they got significant yardage. When the Packers did throw it, Rodgers hit Christian Watson in the hands, and the ball hit the ground, which was a frustrating drop that has kind of defined his rookie year. Who could have predicted that by the time the game would end, Watson would be the first rookie to catch 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys since Randy Moss did it on Thanksgiving of 1998.
Watch Watson become this all-pro perennial, all-pro receiver just because of this game.
Yeah. I mean,
truthfully might. I mean, he looked great.
Well, when he
last
made
week.
that when he made that over-the-shoulder touchdown catch, that's one of those where you make that play, all of a sudden you feel better.
Yeah.
And you feel more confident.
And that's a big thing for him. I mean, he's been very inconsistent this year. He's had a lot of drops. Aaron Rodgers is the type of quarterback to put the ball where you need it more times than not. And he's had a lot of drops this year. He's been very inconsistent. But I wouldn't feel too bad if you're a Cowboys fan because that kid has shown a lot of talent right there.
Yeah, I mean, he showed a lot of talent, but before this game, he was hardly ever playing. He was injured. He wasn't doing too well. He was marred by drops. But
it's not like he was the only guy that was doing anything. I mean, the Packers average is 5.3 yards per carry.
Yes.
You can't win a game like that.
No, you cannot. And that is something I've been saying on this show for the majority of the season, and I called it out since week 1 when Leonard Fournette and the Bucs ran all over the Cowboys. I said that this Cowboys defense is going to be susceptible to the run. They were susceptible to the run in the playoff game last year against the 49ers, and nothing changed. For as great of a defensive coordinator that Dan Quinn is, and I'm not putting this on Dan Quinn, he works with the pieces he got, but the Cowboys personnel is not built to stop the run. The guys in the middle are not doing enough. The defensive ends are not setting the edge, and they are getting bully balled, fellas. And it's happening over and over and over again. Now, this is a problem because today the Cowboys face Dalvin Cook. That's going to be an issue. On Thanksgiving, they face Saquon Barkley. Week 13, they face Jonathan Taylor. Week 14, they face Dameon Pierce, who's a pretty good rookie running back. Week 15, they got Travis Etienne. Week 16, they got the Eagles, who rushed the ball pretty well as a team. And then the last game of the season, they got to face Derrick Henry. So they got some pretty good premier running backs coming up in their last 7 games of the season. And if the Cowboys can't rectify this problem, man, that's the recipe to defeat them. You slow the game down, you take your time on offense, you keep the Cowboys offense off the field, and you tire and wear down this defense, pounding them relentlessly with the run, and you force them to try and stop it. And so far, the Cowboys haven't.
I saw this stat earlier in the week that said that the Cowboys the four most rushing yards given up in the game this year have all been Dak starts.
I don't know what's going on with that. That's such a weird correlation that the defense was playing so lights out with Cooper Rush, but now when Dak Prescott's back, the defense has given up some big time points.
It's almost like and this is something that the coaching needs to fix. Dan Quinn, Mike McCarthy, we praise y'all when y'all are winning, but when the Cowboys are losing, you got to get that mindset, because it feels like the defense feels, okay, we can, we got Dak back. We don't have to put it on the shoulders. No, you got to have the same mindset.
Same
no
mentality like Cooper Rush is back there. You got to just go balls to the wall, man. And Dak Prescott, we can't go without saying this. 2 horrible interceptions.
Well, the second one was tipped.
The second one,
it's still a bad. If you look at it, it was still going to be a bad throw.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? He did the same thing against the Bears when Eddie Jackson was sitting in the middle of the field. He threw it, same exact route. CeeDee Lamb ran past Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson undercut it. Interception. Now, CeeDee Lamb on that second interception, talking to some coaches and around GP, football guys, right? They think that CeeDee Lamb should have sat on the route.
He should have.
And, undercut the safety who intercepted Dak Prescott. So I could see how that one's a little bit CeeDee Lamb's fault.
But at least we got some Lamb sauce. 11 catches, 153 yards, 2 TDs.
Career high.
Yeah,
he did go off in that aspect, yes, and that was great to see some breakout from CeeDee Lamb.
But here's the thing, you never know what CeeDee you're going to get.
And it's especially over the middle route running where you see CeeDee Lamb have these mistakes, and that is very concerning.
Isn't it frustrating as a Cowboys fan? Because there's talent there. He's a good receiver, but you just never know which receiver's going to show up.
He hasn't been as consistent as I would like.
You see Justin Jefferson, the unbelievable catch and performance he had against the against the Bills.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. But, yeah, you're right. And the first Dak Prescott interception in the end zone where Lamb and Schultz got mixed up on their routes, one of those guys should have carried the safety.
Yeah.
While the other receiver was going for the dig route, it would have been a wide-open touchdown.
But either way, if you're Dak, you can't force that ball.
You cannot throw. Thank you, Marcos, for bringing that up. You cannot throw that football if you're Dak Prescott. And there's Cowboys fans out there right now who are saying, that's not Dak's fault. That's the receiver's fault. It's both their faults.
Hey, I got to give credit to my dad and my uncle, because they called this a mile away. Dak was going to throw a couple picks, and the Cowboys would lose. Aaron Rodgers would go off again.
Well, those 2 picks.
They said it was a trap game, and that's what happened.
Those 2 picks led to 14 points. And that first interception, I cannot harp on it enough. Dak Prescott shouldn't have thrown that ball. As the quarterback, it comes back to you. The ball's in your hands. If you read that the route is broken, which Dak Prescott should have read that as an NFL quarterback, you cannot release that ball with 2 Cowboys near each other and a free safety who's covering both. You cannot do that. That's inexcusable from Dak Prescott. We need better from Dak Prescott. We need better from Dak Prescott, especially in the fourth quarter when the game is on the line. The Cowboys in their final 4 drives, fourth quarter and overtime included, 0 points. When it was time to put the game away, the Cowboys offense couldn't step on the neck. And Dak Prescott couldn't make the throws. Dak Prescott couldn't move the ball down the field. The Cowboys offense couldn't do it. You expect more out of quarterback 1. You expect more out of Dak Prescott. And if you're a Cowboys fan, it's okay to criticize Dak Prescott. That's fine. I promise you. You will be fine if you criticize quarterback 1 for mediocre quarterback play. You will live. I promise you that. And I want to see more of that. You got to hold your guys accountable. And I'm a believer in that. So there we go. Cowboys lose to the Packers 31-28. Hopefully they could bounce back today against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. And that's going to be a tough task because we've seen what the Vikings are. I don't care what people say about the Vikings, what people say about Kirk Cousins. They've won tough games. They just went into Buffalo. They had a crazy-ass game where it looked like their backs were against the wall. They literally pulled out a win.
And if you think about it with the Vikings, well, I guess I'll save it for when we preview the team. Yeah.
Well,
what you said is completely correct.
Go ahead, Marcos. Last point, and we got to go.
These are two teams that are coming off of huge games. I mean, this Cowboys-Packers games was the most viewed games out of any game this year.
You're right.
The Vikings-Bills game was probably the game of the year. You know, it was the most. So both of these teams are going to be primed and ready to go, and we'll talk about that in the next segment.
We're going to talk about that actually at 10:15, 10:20, around there. So next segment, though, guys, we will go into some WTF. So make sure you keep it locked. The craziest segment of the week is on the way. It's the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush. It's episode number 96. James Espinosa, Aiden Ducker, and Marcos Mato King hanging out with you till 11 a.m. Cowboys game day, of course. Don't forget about that. 3:30 kickoff and 2:30 pregame right here on KEYS. Cowboys versus Vikings. If you want to watch Cowboys versus Vikings in a badass spot with the best handcrafted cocktails, your favorite Texas craft beer and domestics on draft, I got no other spot for you to go than Nucky's Cocktail Bar down in Kingsville, Texas, 1406 North 14th Street. Hit them up. They're your game day destination. Multiple flat screen TVs. I'm telling you, I can't even count the amount of flat screen TVs that are in there. And they're going to have NFL all day long, as well as their kitchen. It's open. Get some of their mouth-watering wings. Get some of those appetizers. Their loaded nachos are just stupendous. I would recommend nothing more. Head on down to Nucky's Cocktail Bar, 1406 North 14th Street in Kingsville, Texas, and let them know that the Sunday Sports Rush sent you. Also, all-day happy hour on Sunday, so that's pretty kick-ass as well. Nucky's, love you guys. All right. I know we're going to dive into WTF. I got another quick Cowboys note I wanted to get to because I didn't get to hit that in the last segment. Aaron Rodgers is still the boogeyman for the Cowboys, and it's kind of insane because Aaron Rodgers, of course, hasn't had the best season this year. Everybody thought the Cowboys were going to win. We all picked the Cowboys to beat the Packers last week in NFL picks. Aaron Rodgers' career versus the Cowboys, 8-2, 8 wins and 2 losses, 19 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. It just does not matter. He is the boogeyman.
I don't know what he sees in the Cowboys and Bears, but it's like when a lion sees a wounded gazelle. A wounded gazelle, yeah. Wounded gazelle.
You're right about that.
Yeah, there are definitely some guys that see that star and it just gets their eyes big. They just get all big and red. And
especially, he's going against his old coach, Mike McCarthy.
Can you imagine if he saw that in the 49ers, how much more of a accolades he would have?
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that.
Back on that Mike McCarthy point, there was a lot of talk about whose fault was it. They had a big falling out in Green Bay.
Yeah, they did. And, those guys shared a little pregame moment, and Aaron Rodgers said some nice things about McCarthy leading up to the game, and Mike McCarthy on Aaron Rodgers, vice versa. So hopefully those guys have squashed whatever ill will they had towards each other. And that was a nice pregame moment.
McCarthy isn't a bad coach.
No, he's not.
I'm gonna cut the BS on that. So I mean, stuff happens. The going for a 4th down there, it's questionable. But if it weren't for the penalty, it wouldn't. If
it weren't for Jalen Tolbert's dumbass who lined up offsides, literally past the football. Have y'all seen the still shot of that?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's been very disappointing so far.
For a 3rd-round rookie wide receiver who some claimed was going to be Michael Gallup-esque in his rookie year, what he's most known for is lining up offsides in a critical moment like a complete dumbass.
Has he even made like a catch for like a 1st down yet?
I think he has, yeah, but he's done nothing of substance, man. I mean, dude's been inactive.
When's James Washington going to get off of that PUP? When are y'all going to actually sign Odell?
Hopefully, and that's still something that is yet to be determined, so good Lord.
James Washington, if he gets back healthy, is going to help. He's gonna take Tolbert's spot and be, he's a veteran.
I hope so. I really do hope so because,
but
oh my God.
But OBJ's, he would open up this offense even more.
I cannot believe that the Cowboys in their last 10 plays of the game had 3 crucial penalties. 3 crucial penalties in their last 10 plays of the game.
And it's not like the Packers were doing like a coaching a clinic themselves. You remember, when they got the ball back shortly before overtime, they didn't even march down the field.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers got pissed off at Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur, who likes to wear a pamper in big moments because he always craps himself. Jesus.
I'll never forget kicking that field goal against the Bucs.
Yeah.
Just gave the game to the...
Gave it right back to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And, look, man, it's just disappointing all around with what happened with the Cowboys. So hopefully they're able to rectify things today against the Minnesota Vikings up in Minnesota. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some WTF. Let's go ahead and do that.
What the F-bomb is going on?
Oh, yeah. That's what the F I'm talking about.
What the is that? Who are you? What is wrong with you?
In a very disturbing story that took place this week, 3 University of Virginia football players were killed, murdered, shot to death by a former University of Virginia player. This story took place on Sunday night, Monday morning. 3 football players and 2 other students were wounded on campus late Sunday night, early Monday morning. And yeah, man, Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. was eventually apprehended without incident just before 11 a.m. on Monday. University of Virginia Police Chief Tim Longo said Jones had been arrested and charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder and 3 counts of using a handgun in the commission of a felony. Jones was a former freshman running back on the 2018 roster, and his roster bio noted that he previously played at Pittsburgh High School and Varina High School in Virginia, so he's a Virginia guy. And the incident apparently happened on a charter bus whenever this class, they were going up to Washington, D.C. for a field trip. And I'm not sure, details are kind of sketchy, if they were on the way back or if they were leaving to the field trip. But these three players, Lavelle Davis Jr., Devin Chandler, and Deshaun Perry, were shot to death by this player. And a new detail emerged earlier this week that the suspect, Jones, aimed at people while he was shooting. So he just wasn't, shooting recklessly in hopes of killing mass casualties. He literally aimed at the people he was intending to kill.
I mean, even then, I don't think it really makes a difference whether he was shooting recklessly, or not. It's still, it's still a horrible situation. And
the story reads that he was aiming at people and not shooting a handgun randomly on the charter bus, according to a passenger.
It seems like we, as we don't learn from these incidences or whatnot. It's sad that we're gonna probably hear another story like this within the next few days or so. It's just,
goodness gracious, it's just so heartbreaking.
You have people and leaders out there that like to use gun culture to hide their insecurities, and that's it is what it is. But we're gonna keep repeating this over and over again until something gets done. And that's all I got to say about it.
University of Virginia, of course, canceled their game against Coastal Carolina this week. There's no word if they will play their final game November 26th against Virginia Tech. So, yeah, man, just absolute tragic note right there. It sucks that these young men lost their lives due to a senseless act of another. And I don't know the complete details. I don't know why this person did it, but
I think that they're saying he was a former football player as well.
Yeah, but why? What's the motive? Did he have beef with these 3 guys? I mean, I just don't understand why someone would go to these lengths and take lives like that. So, man, that's a tough story to read. Didn't mean to bog y'all guys too down with that, but it is newsworthy and it's something to talk about.
Oh, yeah, it's a major sports story.
It's a major sports story. So
keep those boys' memories alive.
Yeah, exactly. And, we'll see what happens going forward with that. All right, hard transition here. Nick Cannon is in the news.
This guy, man.
Nick Cannon is bragging about his 12th child being on the way and his multi-million-dollar child support that he pays. Nick Cannon 12 freaking kids, man.
What? I'm starting.
I don't understand.
I'm starting to get to a point where it's like, I don't understand, man. Like, it's not it. You know, people can make cute jokes and all that. You know, he you know what I mean. I'm not gonna go there, but like, bruh, you. I'm not a parent by any means. You're the parent, James. But it's like
parent talk.
Like, how much time are you gonna have to spend with each of your kids? It seems like he's a good father from what I hear.
Yeah.
But still, it's like you're each kid you have, you're losing time with other kids.
So
it makes zero sense to me why he does this. But I guess he wants to, you know.
I don't know what his thought process is, but he had a report. He had an interview in The Sun in England, one of their tabloid articles, and Nick Cannon said that he nearly paid $3 million a year in child support. He can quote from Nick Cannon, "I definitely spend a lot more than that on my children annually," he said. So he might spend even more than $3 million.
Was he saying it like in a braggadocious way? Was he?
I think so, kind of, because he does make quite a bit of money. He's hosting a bunch of like different shows on TV. He has his own actual talk radio show. Were y'all aware of that?
I want somebody to interview. Just put all three of them in a room: Philip Rivers, Antonio Cromartie, and Nick Cannon. I just want to get their headspace and why they constantly want to give.
Well, at least Philip Rivers is married.
Well, I don't understand. The same woman has birthed all those kids. That's a
God
accomplishment.
bless her uterus.
God bless her.
God bless her uterus,
But
because my God.
Philip
I
Rivers
don't
shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but she should.
Yeah.
Yes.
She should be in the Hall of Fame.
But
of
I don't
birth
understand.
Giving.
Like, this world is sickening outside of us, and the fact you want to bring I think 3 kids is too much for me personally, but 12? That's insane, man.
I know we only have 1 more minute left. I'm going to read this headline because I want to. The Harvey Weinstein trial features a governor's wife testifying about his fish-like penis and being asked to show how she faked orgasms.
Well,
And
WTF, right?
Yeah, WTF. I just wanted to end it on that note. Harvey Weinstein has a fish-like penisity.
There's not enough words that I could say
Sick
that
ass.
that Harvey Weinstein
Sick bastard.
that needs done to him.
Yeah.
Let's just hope he goes to jail for a very, very.
Oh,
very,
he's
very,
already
very-
he's already rotting in a cell.
Yeah,
as we
he's
speak.
rotting in a cell. I don't even
Never
know.
to see the light of day again.
Never
and
to
that's
his
what he
Is this
deserves.
just another trial on top of it?
Yeah, there's like
wow.
multiple trials happening, but he's already in jail. But hey, his fish-like penicity's in there, so that's all we need to know. That's
And we're
all
gonna
we
go
need
to
to know.
break.
Yeah, and we will hit the break. Hour number 1 is over of the Sunday Sports Rush. When we come back, we'll have some NFL headlines for you. Keep it locked. It's the Sunday Sports Rush. Good morning, Corpus Christi, Coastal Bend, and listeners worldwide. Welcome into hour number 2 of the Sunday Sports Rush on News Talk KEYS, 1440 AM and 98.7 FM. It is episode number 96. I'm James Espinosa, joined alongside co-host and producer Aiden Ducker.
Cougars, I love Cougars. Arr. That's all right, I don't have it ready.
And that was great, though. And we have Marcos Marroquin with us this morning as well.
Sup, James?
What's going on, fellas? It's episode number 96.
I didn't love what the Washington Cougars did to the Ducks, so I shouldn't. So for like a week, I'm not a Cougar lover.
You're
You
not
take
a
it
Cougar.
back?
Yeah, you
I
take
take
that
it back, yeah.
He takes it back until the next time he's at a bar.
In Houston.
And yeah,
Not here.
And finds multiple cougars. Oh, you need to stop that.
Not here.
You need to stop that. You've told me before that.
Okay.
All right. I will stop right there because Aiden's face right now just looks one of
Looks like
I'm
a
gonna
cherry
kill
right now.
you. Yeah. All right. So it's Sunday Sports Rush. We appreciate y'all guys being with us this morning. Of course, we are pre-recorded. If you're wondering why I'm not giving out the phone number repeatedly, why I'm not asking for text, all that good stuff. We are pre-recorded. I am in Rockport, Fulton as we speak. I know that sounds weird, but that's where I'm at. And I'm probably laid up in a hotel room right now, hungover beyond belief. Because that's what you do at weddings. You drink, you party, you celebrate, and you have fun with it. And my wife, I'll get into wedding talk. You know what?
Oh,
No,
man.
damn it.
I mean, what were you going to talk about?
We're going to talk NFL right now. You know what? I'm going to save wedding talk. We'll save wedding talk for 10:30 because I got some things to get off my chest in terms of weddings. I have a top 5 greatest things about weddings list that I want to get into. All of us have attended a wedding before, am I correct?
Yes.
At least the listening audience out there has, I assume. So I'll dive into my top 5 best things about weddings, and then I'm going to rant about weddings as well. That's coming up at 10:30. But right now, let's talk some NFL headlines because it is week 11 of the NFL season, and things are happening. Sunday Night Football was last week. Monday Night Football, I should say, had a big game. And the Commanders beat the Eagles. Wow. The Washington Commanders actually beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. And if I might say, they whooped on the Eagles on Monday night. That was kind of a surprise right there. 32-21, Washington gets the win. And one guy who I was really impressed with was their quarterback, Taylor Heinicke. Heinicke can play some football, fellas. I've always been a Heinicke fan. I like him. He has moxie. He has toughness. He made some great throws against the Eagles on Monday night. And the Eagles, all of a sudden, they look a little bit like they can be beat. You know, they don't look as indestructible as they once did. The Washington, indestructible as they once did. The Commanders did it to them 32-21.
I mean, any team in NFL history is beatable. Except for the 1972 Dolphins, but even then, they won a couple of close games.
And then, of course, after the game, all of the remaining living 1972 Dolphins posted on their social medias, popping champagne, smoking cigars. You had Larry Zonka's old ass out there.
Yeah, just coughing dust as he's talking.
72 years old saying, "Thank you, Washington, for beating the Eagles. We're the only undefeated team, blah, blah, blah. We get the bid every year, guys. It's cool. It's fine." So that happened. And I was impressed with the Commanders. They're now 5-5. Eagles are 8-1. So we'll see what happens.
I think the Eagles have shown a lot of weaknesses. I mean, the Texans even gave them a run for their money up until halftime. And the Texans are the worst team in football.
I mean, there's not really a dominant team that's out there because even the Vikings at 8-1, they're winning a lot of close games. It was just a turnover issue, and then even then, that face mask that was missed. Imagine that's not being missed, and the Eagles drive down. But yeah, you know, the Commanders, they're not a slouch anymore ever since they put in Heinicke.
Yeah.
And Ron Rivera, you know, he doesn't lead bad teams. They're at least competent. Like, they're going to win at least 7 games a year.
It was also a very emotional night for Ron Rivera. He lost his mother recently. And he had a very emotional post-game speech saying how his mom would be proud of him. He broke out into tears. And
yeah, that moved me, man.
You saw the Commanders. The Commanders love Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
The players love Ron Rivera.
They just, you know, you wish that, you know, Snyder sells a team and he'll actually work for somebody who's actually like a human being, you know.
Yeah, Ron Rivera's job is just so much harder than it should be as an NFL head coach. You know, he has to put up with so much answering questions that are like off the field issues because of that. That organization just seems to be on fire.
Yeah,
all the time.
You're right about that, and it's a crappy run organization. But at least, you know, Ron Rivera and those guys, it seems like they're playing for each other.
The boys don't know it.
Yeah, and I have respect for Ron Rivera, always had. So, all righty, moving on to our next topic here. How about Jeff Saturday?
Yes, me and Alex called it.
Big claps for Jeff.
Yes.
I picked the Colts too. I believe.
Big claps
did?
for Jeff Saturday. Yes, Marcos did pick the Colts, in fact. Big claps for Jeff. He is now deemed Jeff Sunday. according to some people out there. And Jeff Saturday actually had some remarks to all the haters out there, especially Joe Thomas and Bill Cowher, who went absolutely ape-ass on the fact that he got hired with no experience as a head coach. Here's Jeff Saturday's quote. "Here's the thing. God is my defender, man," Saturday said while alluding to Cowher's criticism. "I don't have to defend myself. I'm absolutely comfortable in who I am. I respect all those guys. Whoever has whatever negative opinion, I can assure you it's not going to change who I am or what I believe I'm called to do. I have no idea, and I still don't, how successful I'll be. But we're going to work hard at it, and I believe I can lead men and lead the staff. I'm excited about this opportunity." Jeff Saturday. Exactly.
I don't know if he's Irish descent or not, but
I don't know. He might be. He might not be.
I'll tell you what, Josh McDaniels.
Got his ass whooped. God bless. He got his ass whooped.
Whoa, the Raiders are straight ass.
Dude, and it turns out Mark Davis can't even fire him because of how much he's owed for like a buyout.
There's a report that he's probably going to be there up until the end of next year as well.
So
Wow.
because the money he pays him won't be as hefty or something
God.
like that.
That's actually something that's not talked about as much as it should be, in that owners, the more money your owner has, the more money they could put in for cash money for guaranteed contract.
And I'm not saying Mike Maycott was the greatest GM because he struck out on a lot of first round picks or early round picks, but he got let go because he didn't agree that whatchamacallit, who was the coach before this, Rich Bisaccia,
Yes.
special teams
He
coordinator.
was the interim head coach.
Interim head coach. He wanted to keep him. Mark Davis didn't want to keep him, and so that's what you see now. Obviously, conflict breeds bad results, and you
And
see
the
it right
Raiders,
here.
the Raiders were in the playoffs last year. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people forget the Raiders were in the playoffs
and
last year.
there's some Raiders fans I know and you know as well.
Yeah, I know a couple guys.
Yeah, that they were talking their jaw, and we warned them. Josh McDaniels is a bad head coach. He doesn't inspire. And just real quick, I know we're going off a Raiders tangent, but when he was coach for the Broncos, I believe Brandon Marshall, another player, was saying that he had a guy that was caught recording practices when they were undefeated. You remember that, right?
Yes, I know. I do.
And then after he was caught, his record since then has been 7-24.
Jeez Louise, bro. So there we go. That's just a little bit of Raiders talk right there. Some other things to get to from last weekend. That crazy-ass Vikings and Bills game had me absolutely enthralled. I mean, I watched almost every single minute of that game. The craziness that occurred late. The Vikings, man, they are what they are, and the Cowboys got them today. They're 8-1. They pulled off that 33-30 win in overtime.
My goodness, Justin Jefferson.
How ridiculous is this guy? 10 receptions, 193 yards, 1 touchdown. He had that crazy 4th and 17 one-handed catch where he had to go over 2 Bills to bring it down. Just absolutely maddening. And then the Vikings score that late touchdown. So they get that.
I mean, Kirk Cousins, he did what he had to do, but I'm not giving him his full flowers because he threw a lot of one of those, like, F-it balls. Justin Jefferson's there.
And then, so the end of the game, right, the Vikings get stuffed on 4th down, and then the Bills are backed up on their 1-inch line practically, half-yard line, and they try and quarterback sneak. Josh Allen fumbles it. The Vikings fall on it for a touchdown, and they take the lead. And then the Bills drive down, get a field goal, and then overtime happens, and eventually the Vikings end up winning it in overtime.
Yeah,
Crazy ending.
And I know Josh Allen played well in the playoffs, so I can't really say it's an issue. But in the regular season, when the Bills get in these tight games,
I think he's like 0-4 in his last 4 overtime
But at the same
games.
time, the last time we saw him in the playoffs, he played lights out, and that loss wasn't his fault. So I think it's not a fair criticism, but it's something he needs to clean up
It's
if
now
he wants to be a Super Bowl champion.
Back-to-back weeks that the Bills have blown 10-point leads. They had a 10-point lead or more against the Jets and a 10-point lead or more against the Vikings. Back-to-back weeks.
I mean,
blown
then you're
leads.
starting to see, the Bills had, they lost Micah Hyde early in the year. Jordan Poyer was banged up. I don't know. Are they going to get Trey White back?
They possibly might. And now the number 1 seed in the AFC is the Chiefs. The Chiefs are now the number 1 seed at 7-2. How funny is that, right?
Yeah,
the
dude.
Chiefs are the Chiefs. It's like year after year.
And they trade, and there's no Tyreek Hill on that roster
Well,
either.
you know who looked really good for the Chiefs this past weekend? Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
He's kind of filling that Tyreek Hill role as their speed demon and pass catcher. So there we go. That's going to wrap up our NFL headlines right there, NFL talk. When we come back, we'll preview Cowboys and Vikings. It is game day. Cowboys and Vikings right here on Keys. We'll give you our predictions after the break. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush News Talk, KEYS. It's James Espinosa, it's Aiden Ducker, it's Marcos Matakin with you till 11 a.m. Coming up in 15 minutes, I'll have some wedding talk for you guys. My top 5 list of things that are great about weddings. And I also have some displeasures about weddings as well. We'll dive into a little bit of wedding talk, a little bit of sports talk coming up in the next segment. All right, it's game day. It's Cowboys versus Vikings, 3:30 kickoff right here on Keys, 2:30 pregame on Keys as well, so make sure you give us a listen.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the top games of the week, too, if we're looking at the rest of the schedule.
It is. It's Vikings coming to this game 8-1. We just talked about how they came back miraculously against the Bills. Week before that, they came back from 17 points against the Commanders, so the Vikings have showed some toughness. They're able to come back. They're a team that you just can't seem to kill. And the Dallas Cowboys come into this game 6-3 with the loss to the Packers last weekend. So, Cowboys-Vikings, gentlemen, let's go ahead and let's dive right into this. All right? Little quick stat here. Since the start of the 2021 season, the Cowboys are 6-1 in games following a loss. The only time Dallas lost back-to-back games since 2021 in the last 2 seasons was last year at Kansas City when they lost, and on Thanksgiving when they lost to the Vegas Raiders. That was the last time they've lost 2 in a row. So at least the Cowboys under Mike McCarthy have shown a propensity to bounce back in these type of games where they lose and then they're able to win the next week. So that's a little bit of a positive sign if you're a Cowboys fan. Now, they do got the Vikings, and Kirk Cousins gets much maligned. A lot of people like to hate on Kirk Cousins. I get it. It's a cool thing to do. But Kirk Cousins ain't a bad quarterback, guys. Kirk Cousins can throw the ball downfield. Kirk Cousins can get it to his weapons in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen.
Yeah, and then don't forget about added T.J. Hawkinson as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and then Dalvin Cook, out of the backfield. I remember he had a good touchdown catch against the Commanders.
Yeah, and last week Dalvin Cook had like an 81-yard touchdown run against the Bills.
That's what kind of kickstarted everything.
Yeah,
had it not been for that run, it probably would have been an ugly loss for the Vikings.
So Dalvin Cook has 6 touchdowns on the year. Kirk Cousins 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on the season. Justin Jefferson 69 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Those are going to be the guys who the Cowboys are going to have to obviously stop. And I have a real uneasy feeling today about the Cowboys being able to stop the rushing attack of the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not going to put any stock into the Cowboys' rush defense until I actually see them minimize an attack. And if you're the Vikings, you saw what the Packers just did. I would replicate that. I would hit the Cowboys with play action. I would get Justin Jefferson, of course, involved deep because the Cowboys are thin at cornerback, and that's how you attack the Cowboys if you want to try and win this game. Now, just some by the numbers here. What the Cowboys have been able to do that's been pretty good. By the numbers, 6.11 is the number. Dallas has had success rushing to the left side of the offensive line, averaging about 6.1 yards per carry. The 3rd highest rushing average in the NFL when running to the left. So the Cowboys like to run left with Tyler Smith and Connor McGovern on that side. They do quite well in that. The Cowboys have 8 of the Cowboys' 15 takeaways have come via a fumble recovery in 2022. That's tied for the Vikings with third in the NFL. So the Cowboys have been opportunistic on falling on fumbles, which a lot of that is luck. Sometimes, the ball bounces your way, etc., etc. Now, scouting report for the Vikings. The Vikings' 16 takeaways are tied for second in the NFL, and the Vikings offense has scored 46 points off takeaways, tied for fourth in the league. Dallas has only committed 9 giveaways on the season, tied for fourth fewest. So Vikings like to take away the ball. The Cowboys don't give away the ball that much. But Dak Prescott has been giving away the ball quite a bit. Gonna need Dak Prescott to play his cleanest game, fellas. All right. What are y'all's thoughts on Cowboys and Vikings? I'll go ahead and start with you, Aiden.
Actually, go to Marcos.
I'll start with Marcos. Yeah. Cowboys, Vikings. Are you feeling confident in the Cowboys today? Do you think they're going to be able to bounce back, or do you think the Vikings are pretty for real, man? That 8-1 record, like the great Bill Parcells once said, you are what your record says you are. You're 8-1 for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, this Vikings defense especially has really impressed me this year. I mean, they've had some obvious problems in the past, but Zadarius Smith and Daniel Hunter, those are two names that pop out to me so far. They've combined so far in the year with over 15 and a half sacks just between the two of them. I mean, they've been dominant on the defensive front, And I could imagine them putting some pressure on Dak, forcing some of those bad throws that we saw last week, especially with the secondary. They got some vets on that side. They've shown some flashes as well. And I could imagine there being a couple picks, couple forced passes that should have been picked. I'm not too high on the Cowboys this week. I really like this Vikings team. I'm really confident in their abilities. I mean, their offense has been explosive at times. Their defense has been dominant against the run, especially.
Yeah, the Vikings are 11th in total offense, 8th in scoring offense. Their rushing offense is ranked number 23rd, which is kind of surprising considering they do have Dalvin Cook. But their passing offense is ranked 7th in the league. So they are able to move the ball downfield pretty well via the pass.
I know we're pre-recording this, but keep an eye out for Justin Jefferson. He's listed as questionable right now. If he's out,
he's gonna play.
Oh, he will?
Yeah. There's no way he's gonna. There's no.
What happened to him?
Nothing happened to him.
It's a toe injury.
Yeah.
He's on the injury report. I don't know how
but
big of a deal it is,
it happens, But if it were a major issue, it would have been announced already.
Yeah. The one thing about the Vikings here is you mentioned their defense, right? Surprisingly, they're ranked 29th in pass defense.
Yeah, they've been torn up in the secondary, but they have talent, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Like, it's there. It is there.
But they have opportunity to make plays with Harrison Smith back there, and then Patrick Peterson. He's still, that veteran presence. They're not, not in their peak form, but they're still solid enough to create issues for the passing game.
One of those things is they've gotten into a little bit of shootouts at times, in these close games. So obviously that plays a factor into the stats where they could be a little bit skewed compared to like their talent level as a defense.
All right, now here's my perspective on this game. The Cowboys, for as long as I've known this franchise, whenever you think they're gonna lose, they play better. And I just have a weird feeling they're gonna play a lot better as a unit.
Yeah.
Than what you saw against the Packers, where they were kind of lackadaisical, and then Aaron Rodgers was throwing those haymakers left and right. Man, you know what? I think it's time for prediction time. We got another
few minutes.
Another couple minutes. Yeah.
Okay, let me get this quick stat out of the way, and then we'll make our predictions.
Take your time on it.
So, I've talked about Dak Prescott and what seems to be like his inability as of late protecting the football. Well, there's some merit behind that because I'm not just making this up, all right? I'm actually seeing this, and this stat actually backs it up. In Dak Prescott's last 16 games played, he's thrown 10 interceptions. Through 4 games this year, he has already thrown 4 picks, despite missing 5 games with a broken thumb. So each game that he's played, he's averaged at least 1 interception thrown. There's just something a little bit off with Dak Prescott. I don't know if he's trying to force big plays. I don't know. I know this is going to sound weird, but I don't know if he's trying to justify that contract he has and he wants to take more chances and be a more prolific big shot player. But him throwing all these interceptions lately has me very concerned.
I think a big part of that could be the fact that he's last week. I mean, they're making him throw the ball almost 50 times a game.
Yes, and you're right.
And some quarterbacks aren't gonna be able to do that. I mean, you have your Josh Allen's, Patrick Mahomes but maybe Dak Prescott is a really, really good quarterback, but he's not a guy that you're gonna have go out there and throw 50 times a game.
He can't carry a franchise on its back. Let's just be real. He's not there. I don't know if he's ever going to be there. I've been waiting for that to carry this team, and
I mean,
it hasn't happened.
he's shown flashes, though.
Yes,
and
true.
he's still relatively
But you never
young.
know which Dak you're going to get, and it's probably frustrating for a Cowboys fan.
It's very
We
frustrating.
got a couple minutes.
It's very frustrating as a guy who has defended Dak Prescott his whole career from Cowboys haters and the Dak hate hive, but whenever he plays bad, he needs to be criticized. And I'm not one of these guys who's just going to kiss his ass because he's the quarterback of the Cowboys. I'm going to tell you like a straight shooter how it is, and that's what you can expect out of me.
Prediction time now.
All right, prediction time. Aiden, you go first.
You know what? I got a feeling the Cowboys are going to play well. The Vikings are due for another loss. They've been skidding along by, close wins against Saints, Commanders, and then against the Bills. I think they're due for a loss, and I think the Cowboys are going to play better off a loss. They're going to get a little bit fired up. But I think it's going to be a tight game to the end. Give me Cowboys 24, Vikings 21.
All righty, Marcos, what's your official Cowboys-Vikings prediction?
I got the Vikings at 27, Cowboys 24.
Wow.
Yeah, I got the Vikings taking the win on this one.
All right, and for my official prediction,
James.
one last note here. Justin Jefferson has a 100-yard receiving game in 4 of his last 5 games. The Cowboys are depleted in the secondary a little bit. You know what, man? I've kind of lost some confidence in the Cowboys until they show me otherwise, that they can, shut down a prolific offense, so that they can, limit the run, which I really want to see this weekend. I'm kind of scared of Dalvin Cook. I'm leaning Vikings, especially at home. I think it's going to be a close game. Give me Vikings 20, Cowboys 17. I think the Cowboys lose this game in a close one, a very close one, and I think we're all going to have questions after this game of what the hell's going on here. I need to see the Cowboys perform to their maximum before I'm confident in picking them again, because I got burned last week, and that one hurt.
Yeah.
That one hurt. So there we go. That's our Cowboys and Vikings prediction right there. 3:30 kickoff here on Keys, 2:30 pregame on Keys as well. Make sure you give us a listen to that. Your official home of the Dallas Cowboys here in the Coastal Bend. All right. When we come back, guys, I do have some quick little stories I want to get to. A little bit of NBA stuff here and there. And I have my top 5 best things about weddings list. I want y'all guys to stick around for that. Keep it locked to the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush News Talk KEYS. It is James Espinosa, Aiden Ducker, and Marcos Matakin with you. Hanging out with you till 11 a.m. We got about 30 minutes left in the show. Shout out to Nucky's Cocktail Bar, 1406 North 14th Street. They're your game day destination today. All day happy hour. They're going to have all the NFL games on their numerous flat screen TVs. They also got a big projector screen in there, which will have Cowboys and Vikings on for you. Head down there, fresh handcrafted cocktails. My favorite by far is the old fashioned. So sweet, so delicious. Craft beer on draft, as well as your favorite domestics. Hit them up. It's 1406 North 14th Street down in Kingsville, Texas. It's Nucky's Cocktail Bar. Let them know that the guys at the Sunday Sports Rush sent you. Thank you to Nucky's for sponsoring the show. All righty, real quick Cowboys note to get to. I know we're talking kind of Cowboys heavy, but there was a lot of news this week. Cowboys signed former Falcons first-round pick defensive end Tack McKinley to their practice squad. All right, cool. A little bit of depth right there, I suppose. Doesn't hurt to sign a guy like that.
Man, I remember he was a former first-round pick for the Falcons. He's bounced around.
Do you remember he was the guy who got drafted and brought up the big old picture of his dead grandma on the stage?
That's who I do it for, man.
That was him.
He looked kind of psychotic, and I thought he'd be a beast. And he had flashes, but it just never...
He had flashes, and the thing with this signing is he's a Dan Quinn guy. Dan Quinn was the head coach when he got drafted with the Falcons, so hopefully Dan Quinn, who knows, maybe we'll see him on the squad at some point this season for some defensive pass rushing depth. That'd be nice if he can at least contribute. Go ahead.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead, man. This segment's very loose. I'm going to let you know right now.
The Cardinals surprisingly released Eno Benjamin, who was definitely their best running back this week. And
no, he was hurt or something like that. Or James Conner. James Conner came back, and so they weren't really using him when he was playing for James Conner. He wasn't really doing that well.
Yeah, but whenever he was playing, in my opinion, and you could look at the yards per carry and everything, he was their best running back, and they released him. And if you're a local fan, I know we got a lot of Texans fans in the area. The Texans picked him up. I mean, he went. They had the waiver priority, and they were the first team on that. And he got picked up right away. So if you're a Texans fan, look out for that.
You know what? This is kind of a little bit of a loose segment here. We're just talking, general sports topics, and then I'll get to my top 5 weddings list here in a moment. But Marcos, you're a Texans fan.
Yep.
And I know the Texans have had a little bit of a rough go at things here this season. Things haven't exactly gone the Texans' way. There are a lot of people questioning Lovie Smith as head coach. There's a lot of, there's just things out there. Look, the Texans are 7-1-1. Or 1-7-1, I should say.
I would love if we were 7-1.
Sorry, you should have seen the smile on Marcus's face. 1-7-1. And I know we don't do a lot of Texans talk lately, but this is just kind of a different show. They got the Commanders this weekend, or today, I should say, at 12. What is it about the Texans? Why have they struggled? And is Davis Mills, what's going on with Davis Mills? He came into the season, there was a lot of high hopes for Davis. Played relatively well at times last year when he did start later on in the year, but it just seems that Davis Mills has not worked out for the Texans. What's going on?
Well, if you look at the guys that he has around him, and people forget he's only a second-year player. It almost seems like the NFL fans and the NFL community as a whole has forgotten that the quarterback position is a very difficult one. These guys, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, they're unicorns. You don't see guys come into the NFL, their rookie year, their second year, and then with Josh Allen, his third year, becoming the guy that he is, becoming an MVP candidate. That is not normal. You don't see that all around the NFL. It takes time for guys to develop, and I don't think that if you're a Texans fan, you should really be getting on Davis Mills too much. I know he's young and there's been obvious struggles, but he's shown flashes, and he has looked like at times the best quarterback in that draft class. Like a lot of those guys have been inconsistent. A lot of them have been loose with the football. So I don't think that you could completely just give up on him. I know if you look at the quarterbacks and coming out of the draft this year and you're thinking this could be an all generation type cornerback, a once in a generation athlete and a once in a generation talent, then I could imagine you using a top pick for them. But if let's say we win a couple more games as a Texans fan, and you rise a couple of draft spots and everything, that's not the worst thing in the world to me. I would even be interested in trading down in the draft.
Really?
Because
Davis Mills. Continue.
Because there's a lot of holes on this team. We are at the top of the league in giving up yards per carry. It's like over 6 yards a carry.
Oh my God!
You cannot win football games like that.
That's pretty pathetic.
And if you look at the games, I think there was like the first 6 games or something. I forgot the stat, excuse me, but we were leading in like almost all of the games at the start of the season. Like we had a lead at some point in there. This Lovie Smith has this team better. I know the record doesn't say that. We're pretty much in the exact same spot as we were last year, as a Texans fan once again. But it's just this team is so young, and there's not that many guys that have that elite talent to finish out ball games. And that is arguably the most important part of the NFL.
Now, let me ask you this question, because right now the Texans are slated to have the number 1 overall draft pick, and I believe also the number 7 overall draft pick. They're going to have 2 top 10 picks if the season ended today.
Yeah.
Number 1 overall, Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama.
C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, that's going to be a question that the Texans are going to have to answer.
I don't know, and I think for Davis Mills to confirm his job in this Texans organization as a starting quarterback, he needs to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
He needs to do a little bit more. I mean, I know everything I said is true, and he doesn't have the weapons. I mean, if you put Patrick Mahomes on this team, do you know anybody's name in the wide receiver core of the Texans?
I might. Brandon
As a sports
Cooks.
show host, you might.
Brandon
but talking to
Cooks.
the listeners out there, you really can't. No, there's
Nico Collins.
Yeah, that's
yes,
one.
and even then he's banged up, and he's had some. He's had.
They
some
got
problems.
a pretty good tight end.
Akins, do they even throw to him still?
No, they don't.
Okay, never
I know.
They got
Burkhead-
Damian Pierce. He's good at running back.
Yes, but
Rex Burkhead.
Isn't it crazy that he was the starting running back this year?
Yeah,
in
I
the
mean,
first
look,
game
the
of
Texans. It's an organization that is, of course,
it's
they're
hard.
down, and
They're
you
like-
being a Texans
They're
fan,
the
I'm pretty sure it's
opposite
hard.
of the Astros, basically.
I would love. I honestly, I'm a Davis Mills believer.
Yeah.
And I think that if you give him some of the weapons that a lot of other quarterbacks have right now, that he could be just as good as a middle of the pack quarterback. And that's saying something for a guy in his second year. I mean, he only hit like his 17th game starting in like the third or fourth game this year. So he like coming into the season, he didn't even have a full season under his belt.
Yeah. So you think they need a little bit more time with Davis Mills to truly?
I wouldn't hate giving him more time.
Okay.
I'm
I
sorry.
mean, Josh Allen was so inconsistent his first and second years. I mean, obviously he showed more flashes than Davis Mills has had.
But Josh Allen has raw talent. He just needed to refine it. Davis Mills was like a 4th-round pick, right? For
I
a
mean,
reason.
if you look at Davis Mills, he spins the football.
Davis
yeah,
Mills can throw.
He has an arm.
He can, but-
in his rookie year coming into the league, he had the highest deep ball percentage out of any rookie quarterback, and he was up at the top of the league.
I think he's too inconsistent to be a starter, man. You see Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud.
I
Up on
agree.
that
I just
board, you're gonna pick
don't
him.
think that the argument of him not having the physical gifts
Yeah.
is saying a lot, especially because in his college career he was hurt and he didn't even play that much.
No, you're right.
And honestly, taking a 3rd-round pick on him was a horrible decision. But he has shown flashes, and I think if you give him time, given that he didn't play much in college, given that he didn't really play much in his first season, at least consistently,
yeah.
I wouldn't hate giving him more time, especially with the so drastic amount of holes that we have on defense and in skill positions and
I
offensive
love
line and
your
defensive
passion
line.
for the
This might be
Texans.
the most we've ever talked about the Texans.
I know,
ever.
but-
even with the Deshaun Watson stuff.
Dude, we've talked Rangers today. We've talked Texans. Hey, we're utilizing Marcos's skill set.
Are you a Rockets fan too?
I'm a Spurs fan.
Oh, okay,
Spurs,
so-
baby?
so no-
Keldon Johnson choked. Did you see that game? He had like 3 turnovers in the last
Are you talking
minute.
about the one against the Trailblazers the other night?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
then
what?
the Spurs got blown out by the Warriors earlier this week.
We
yeah.
can, Spurs. Yeah, why not? Let's just kind of dive into what we think about the Spurs so far this year.
Is this the Marcos?
How much,
episode?
man? How much time do we have?
Probably like a minute.
Okay,
and a
so
half
I'm gonna
to 2.
I'm gonna save wedding talk for the last segment. I'll tease ahead to that, but Spurs this year, look, they started out really hot, but I think we're starting to finally see this team regress back to the mean.
I think the Jeremy Sohan hype is valid. He has looked
He's good.
really good.
You know
this
who
year.
else I like on the Spurs? I like Charles Bassey, the big center they brought up from the
Yeah.
G League. He's a
Yeah.
pretty good player, man. Look, the Spurs have some good young pieces. And I'll say this as a quick Spurs aside is this team is not that great, but they are fun to watch. Like, I actually watch
yes.
Spurs games and enjoy the competitiveness of the young team, even if they lose, which is fine to me.
I mean, man, they were playing so well before the Primo stuff happened, though. I feel like that's
Oh, that actually did shake him up a little bit.
yeah.
I feel like that shook him up a little bit. Hopefully,
Oh.
Primo
shook it up quite a bit,
Wow,
apparently.
no.
But,
I'm not playing the sounder.
But yeah, so I mean, look, Spurs. Hopefully, they can win a few games here or there, but at least they are fun to watch and they're entertaining me. And I like watching Devin Vassell. He's grown into one of my favorite players. I love Keldon.
Even Pirtle.
Yeah, Pirtle
He
had
had
a career
31.
night against Portland the other night. So, look, Spurs are fun. Let's keep on hoping they remain entertaining. Let's hope they lose more than they win for draft sakes purposes. But let's hope they entertain us in the long run. So there we go. That's going to wrap up this segment right there. That was a quick sports grab bag. That was a Texan segment. I love it. That was awesome. All right, coming up next, last segment of the show, I'll give you my top 5 best things about weddings. Keep it locked. It's the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush. It's News Talk KEYS, episode number 96. James Espinosa, Aiden Ducker, and Marcos Marroquin. It's the last segment of the show, and we're here with you, and we're glad you guys are here with us along for this ride. Of course, this was a pre-recorded show. I attended a wedding. I know that sounds weird. You're listening to it right now. But last night I was at a wedding in Rockport, and of course, I don't know how things went.
Yeah, how was it, James?
I assume it's going to be great. I assume it's going to be fun. I assume I'm going to be drinking mini beers. I assume I'm going to be dancing my ass off and having a great time with my wife, who her best friend's getting married this weekend. One of her best friends.
Oh, that's nice.
And you know what's the crazy thing about this fall season for me? Is that in the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be attending 2 weddings.
Wow.
So I had a wedding last night. Next week is Thanksgiving weekend, which no weddings. We'll have a live show Thanksgiving Sunday.
Okay.
Live show Thanksgiving Sunday. Like the weekend of Thanksgiving. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So next Sunday, we'll be live in studio.
Got it.
Following weekend, I have another wedding in Rockport.
Another Rockport wedding?
Yes. So I'm attending 2 weddings in the next 3 weeks.
Man, at this point, I got to learn how to host the show.
Let me just say something real quick, because I love my wife's friends. They're great, and I'm so happy that they're getting married, and I'm so happy that they found the love of their lives, and everybody's prospering, everybody's happy. That is awesome. But let me say this, okay? Let me complain a little bit, all right? Fall weddings are the absolute bane of existence. Fall weddings should be outlawed. If you're having a fall wedding, especially around the holiday season, I am sorry. I love y'all guys who are getting married, and I hope that y'all guys don't hear this segment or do, whatever. I hope you don't hate me for it. But I just don't want to be involved with holiday season and everything that goes along with that, being busy with family, and then have to squeeze in 2 weddings in the span of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I know this sounds like first world problems. I know this sounds like, oh, James is just bitching and moaning. But, man, especially during football season at that. Fall weddings should not exist. I hate it. It should be spring and summer.
Yeah.
Who the hell wants to have a wedding in the fall when it's cold?
You know what's funny? So my cousin Martin, and shout out to Martin and his
Shout out to Martin.
and his lovely wife Janelle
And his lovely wife, Janelle.
But they had to be fair, it was an indoor venue. It was it was an outdoor. The wedding was supposed to be outdoors. And a cold front came through, and it was drizzling rain. And they had it in February, and we had to last second inside.
So these weddings are both indoors, thank God. I'm not trying to be out there in a damn hoodie, parka, whatever the hell, freezing my ass off.
I love how happy you are just to celebrate this love and this.
Well,
amazing
I
time
am
for this.
happy, but I'm also going to bitch and moan whenever it's inconvenient to me. This is the reason why we got to have 2 pre-recorded shows in the next 3 weeks, is because I'm going to be in Rockport on Saturday night. There's no way in hell I'm making it Sunday morning to the show hungover after a wedding.
You know what? I can host the show. I'll do it.
If you and Marcos want to host the show, be my guest. I will prep the show for you, and I'll host the show, or y'all host the show. I don't care. Honestly, if y'all guys want to take the reins, go for it. Be my guest.
And we got Will in here. Maybe he can run the board.
If Will wants to come, Will, come on down. I would love for you to run the board while these 2 guys are doing the show. And you can even chime in, too, because I know Will knows some sports. Will's repping his Texas hoodie right now right in front of me. I know Will went to the damn Texas game last weekend and saw them lose against TCU. So, yeah, Will's a Texas fan. He sympathizes with me. But, all right. So fall weddings suck. Let's just get that out the way. Now, here are my top 5 best things about weddings. Here's the best part about weddings. All right, I'm going to go 5 through 1. The number 5 best thing about weddings is it gives you an excuse to drink all day.
Yes.
Let's just face facts. Weddings is a drinking party. Now, I am going to be sitting there for this ceremony with what should be about an hour long, I guess. Hopefully it's an hour. You know, whatever. I love you. I do. Kiss. All right, bye. But I guarantee you, before the wedding, I will have already had a couple of drinks. Before I walk into the wedding, I'm going to take a shot of one of those little whiskey party bottles they sell. And I'm going to have a good buzz during the wedding. That's number 5. An excuse to all-day day drink.
You know, at my sister's wedding, I'm not going to say the beer brand, but there was like a beer like draft. It was free.
It's not Andrews.
It was free, but it was free.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't have to pay for it. It was a free draft beer. Like, you just put it in the cup and you drink. I'm about to drink like 12 of those.
Reason number 4 why weddings are kind of kick-ass. Usually, you're going to some high-end type of venue. Typically, you're going to a pretty cool spot, good vibes. So good vibes, high-end venue, that's number 4.
And I'll admit, is another one where I know you're married and whatnot, but I'm single. And for me, at least, you get to have fun, Like, I was flirting with some of my sister's
Okay, I'm going to get to that point. Reason number 3. You get to hang with the bros. Typically, in a wedding, if especially one of your friends is getting married, you're hanging with the bros. It's kind of like a bro reunion. You get to bro down and have a good time with the bros. It's an excuse to hang with the bros. That's reason number 3. Reason number 2, this is getting to Aiden's point. If you're single, the bridesmaids are usually down to party hardy, if you know what I'm talking about. So if you're single, there's a lot of opportunity out there because let's just face facts.
Shout out to one of my friends, Amber Aubin, my sister's maid of honor.
Why are you shouting her out?
Why are you shouting her out?
No, because she's a cool friend.
What did that have to do with the last thing that James said?
Never mind. Just go.
Okay. So you usually get to party, and you get to have fun. And if you're a single guy out there, which Aiden, of course, is, and he's been to weddings, big time, Cougar Den.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just think about that. Big time Cougar Den for the single guys out there.
Yeah.
Just think about that. And there's always that one in the party who's kind of sad she never got married, who's kind of sad, oh my God, I don't have a love of my life. That's the one. Just saying. Reason number 1 why weddings can be kind of kick-ass. Open bar, if they have it, or a BYOB type of situation.
Yeah.
The wedding I'm going to, it's BYOB. So at least we get to bring our own drinks. We don't have to pay for nothing. Well, I guess we got to pay for the drinks at the store, but we don't got to pay inflated prices that you would pay in a bar type situation. So that's my top 5 reasons why weddings are kick-ass. I guess honorable mention would be the fact that 2 people found love and they're there to, get married. I guess that's not in my top 5, but yeah, cool. Y'all guys are married. Awesome. Y'all guys definitely get to enjoy marriage and all the glories of marriage and all the headaches. But just all that cool stuff. Awesome.
Shout out your better half.
Yeah, shout out my wife for putting up with me and my silliness and everything that goes along with me right there. So, yeah, just wanted to kind of get that out of the way. Wedding talk. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? How many minutes do we have left?
Probably like a couple.
Did I kill enough time?
Sure.
Nah,
Sure.
I guess. Well,
Sure.
No, I guess we'll kind of talk sports here.
Oh, we have a playoff game
Yeah.
on Thursday.
Well, it already happened on Thursday.
We had a playoff game.
We
on
had
Thursday.
a playoff game on Thursday between Alamo Heights and GP, which we don't know the winner right now. But
I forgot we're in between the time of the show that this is airing and the actual playoff game happening.
yeah, we are pre-recorded, so no idea what happened between GP and Alamo Heights right now. Let's just hope GP won.
Let us know.
Yeah, hit us up on the text line who won the game because we're oblivious right now. You're listening to us from the past. But all right, well, Javelina's made a bowl game, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
They'll be
Shout out to
playing.
them.
They'll be playing East Central in the Fun Town RV Heritage Bowl, which is happening in Corsicana, Texas. Of course, the Javelina started 7-0 on the season, but lost their last 4 games of the regular season.
Ouch.
Yeah. They kind of sold a little bit. We had playoff hopes,
But they're a good team still.
they're a good team. And I'll say that it's better than last year, and Coach Mike Salinas at least has them on the right track. Hopefully, they can end the season on a high with a win. The game is taking place Saturday, December the 3rd in Corsicana. They'll be playing East Central, Oklahoma. So hopefully the Hogs can win and head into next year on a definite high. So I think we're out of time.
Got like another minute or so.
Okay, another minute. Marcos, what do you have on your mind?
Just thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We appreciate y'all guys being here. It's episode 96. Countdown to 100 is on. Episode 97 next week. We'll be live in studio, so we'll be back for that. Episode 98 the week after, maybe Aiden and Marcos will host.
Yeah.
Hard maybe.
If y'all want to host, go for it, man.
Marcos,
I think it would actually be good experience for Marcos.
I think Marcos, you would have to like lead like the segment in terms of like open it up, but I can ramble on with you and stuff. We'll be fine.
I can prep the whole show for you if you want and just give you the template with topics to talk about.
Yeah.
I've done it before whenever Alex was here.
You know what? If we have a situation where we can't pre-record during the week, yeah.
Okay. That sounds fine.
Yeah.
That sounds fine.
I like this off-air game planning on air.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do on the Sunday Sports Rush. All right, that's going to wrap up the show. We appreciate everybody listening this morning. Thank you guys for getting in and putting up with our silliness. Thank you to Nuckies for sponsoring the show. Aiden, excellent job. Marcos, great job. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
And thank you to everybody who's listening. We appreciate you guys. Shout out to you all. Y'all guys make this fun. No more questions. We'll talk to you next week.